Data protection is the respect of any fundamental right when our personal data are processed. So it can go to discrimination, to freedom of thought, mental manipulation, and so on. It's much bigger than we think, and making that in practice through technological organizational means is a real challenge.
The personal data are extremely important because it's more or less the type of very powerful information that we sometimes share without being even conscious that we are doing so. Whoever gains access to those data can make decisions on you, and some of those decisions might be crucial to your life. The idea that is behind Panelfit is that when we started with this project, we knew that the legal framework relating personal data was changing at the EU level. We have an old directive that was at the time substituted by the General Data Protection Regulation. That was totally new, and it was an impressive effort made by the EU institutions to try to provide us with a kind of regulation able to balance our rights with the need to use personal data. This was very important, but the main problem was that it was hard to anticipate how this new regulation would work in practice.
We have sent short messages both to the European Commission and also the European Parliament. The messages are to pay more attention on the implementation of the general regulation on data protection.
Panelfit was created on the idea that we should try to develop some tools to help a different collective to live well with the GDPR. So we were creating different outcomes that should serve well to different actors such as policymakers, end users, journalists, or even DPOs, and of course like citizens, to understand what was at stake.
Yeah, I think Panelfit has several strong points. First of all, the first letter of Panelfit, the PA, is participatory, and I think that participation of different stakeholders was really something innovative.
Having that interaction between end users and experts also helps qualify the legal aspects and put it into a practical reality of these end users, so they can sit together and discuss, well, this is the law, yes, but this is the practice. So finding some kind of common ground between these two, which is very, very difficult to do if you don't actually bring these actors into the room. At the end, now our hope is that we have some guidelines, and we have a citizen info pack, and we have some information for vulnerable populations, which is actually developed with their vantage point in mind. So when they see it, they can recognize the usefulness of these products.
When you join a consortium and you are the expert in data protection, everyone is scared because they know that you will require them to comply with a lot of rules, and the law is scaring. So I think that's the added value of Panelfit. We discussed with these researchers, we explain how data protection works, we understood why they were afraid of us, and so that's why Panelfit will have a future.
What is always needed in order to understand each other is to have a kind of common language. What we are producing in Panelfit is that. This means that, for example, if the institutions consider that what we are producing are good materials, they could, for example, tell researchers, when you are doing this, please follow these concrete guidelines.
Another strong point of Panelfit project was the scope on vulnerable individuals. This is something new. This is something underexplored and underestimated, and this is something that just thanks to Panelfit and other projects we are starting to develop. So, who are the vulnerable individuals? Who are vulnerable data subjects? And how we can not just define them, but address them.
One strength point of Panelfit that needs to be stressed, in my opinion, is the multilingualism of the main outputs. So the main outputs of the project, like the guidelines, the citizens info pack, the handbook, are available in 5 languages. So it's an effort that the project made from scratch to design some tools that could be available and accessible to the broader possible audience.
I learned a lot from this project because I learned from other stakeholders, from other people, from their needs and also from their expectations. Because the expectations of different stakeholders is something we think to know. We think to assume what the journalist thinks, what the researcher thinks, but actually they all already have their prejudices about privacy and data protection, and learning from their prejudices can help us to build a new scenario.
Projects which are looking at the future of the technologies and trying to anticipate how the development of the society and the development of science and technology will look like in the future gives us the possibility to confront it with the expectations of the individual, of the European citizen, on how his or her rights will be protected in the future.
We do not have a crystal ball, but with different points of view, we can at least, minimize the different potential scenarios that can occur in the future, potentially, and address these scenarios. So at least something will be addressed, and if we do it very well, maybe we can create a legal framework that is fit for foreseeable future.
So I think there's a lot of potentially really useful applications of the work they're doing in Panelfit, and I'm really enthusiastic about the possibilities of working on these thorny issues, because I think as a society we grow more, we develop more if we tackle the hard subjects.
One of the main challenges and issues that we have at the present moment is that the general data protection is a kind of general framework that it was already expected to need some kind of a specific regulation that would complement the GDPR. We are in that moment right now. I think that this is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity for us, because we could, and we are willing to incorporate some of the materials into our guidelines, for example, just to tell people, well, this works very well in here, and you could use this part of the guidelines to face this concrete challenge that, for example, is posed by the Artificial Intelligence Act or something like that. So we got challenges, but I think that there are also opportunities indeed.